Hello everybody, how are you? I want to talk to you today about the stories you tell yourself. The stories that you keep playing over and over in your head that you're either holding as truth, but maybe not. I'm Karen Barno and welcome to my podcast. This is episode 4. Hello. We all tell stories to ourselves. We all tell stories of how we remember a situation. Doesn't matter if the memory is correct or not. What matters is the memory that you're telling yourself. And are you using that story to propel you, to launch you into a more positive, powerful future? Or are you using that story to hold yourself back so you never really kind of go after what you want to go after? A perfect example is, say, when you were younger, you always wanted to, well, I will give you a great example. I'll give you an example of somebody I know. This person I know, when they were born, they were kind of drew the short straw, so to say, the short stick, whatever, the short match, and their mother placed them into foster care when they were about 5 years old. Mother just wasn't really into having boys, kept girls, but didn't really like the boys, so got rid of them. And this person was raised in child care and foster care till they're about 13, 14 years old. About 14, 15 years old, the child foster care system reaches out, finds the parents, the father comes and gets them, story goes on. Now this person, by all accounts, the story in their head should be, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I can't accomplish anything. But instead, they have used that story to propel them. They rewrote the story in their head to be a supportive story. Now they own a bunch of businesses and doing incredibly well. Then you also have the person who, their story, they were raised in a family of all athletes, and everybody was an athlete except them. And she really wanted to be athletic, but it just wasn't her thing. So she used that to hold herself back, because whenever it came time to take chances or to do anything, she didn't do it. Because in her mind, she did that, I'm not athletic, therefore I'm not as good as my family, I'm not as good as anybody else, I really am frail, because she was, kind of demure in status, and thin, I'm frail, I'm petite, the world's going to hurt me. And instead of taking that story and saying, okay, you guys, you're all really athletic and that's great, she conversely, that was really brilliant, she was so smart, and she was a pianist, she could play anything. You could put, Beethoven's Fifth in front of her and she'd seriously go, shh, and do it. She got accepted into Juilliard and didn't go because she didn't feel like she measured up. Those are the stories we tell ourselves. And instead of allowing your stories to empower you, instead of taking that story and saying, okay, I may not have been good at sports, but I was much better at the piano, and that's what my value is, and I'm really great at that, and I'm going to surround myself with people that support me on that story. We have a tendency to allow the stories of our past to hold us back. The stories that we repeat over in our head. It could be something that happened in our past, but it's what we made of it. It could have been, a bad outcome from when we were children or our teen years. And instead of it not really being a big deal, instead of it just kind of being, oh, well, it just didn't work out well for you, we over the years have made it into this big, huge monster deal. Because we never really sit and go back and look at it and think, well, what really happened? What meaning did I put to that story? And did I really have any true control over that story? Because sometimes the things that happen to us, we don't have control over. We were younger, we weren't able to give permission. We weren't able to discern who our friends were. We weren't able to determine where we went to school at in high school and grade school and all that. And so we keep churning and burning these stories instead of sitting down and saying, what is my story? And creating your own story. Create your own. You don't need to live in memories that don't support you. You can just sit back and create your own story and allow that story to support you moving forward. You can rewrite it. It's just taking the time to sit down and rewrite it. If you're interested, I'm doing a workshop January 8th. I know it's a whole almost month and a half away, where I'm doing a workshop where we're gonna go through your story and you're gonna rewrite it, and you're gonna reframe it to make it an empowering story so it supports who you are and it supports your desires. I mean, I've seen people that have completely and totally made up stories about themselves that they tell themselves. There's no harm, no foul. People are like, well, aren't they being delusional? No, they're supporting themselves. You know, they've created this whole amazing backstory that gives them the power to start their own business, to apply for these jobs, to accomplish their dreams because they believe in themselves, because they've created that life that has allowed them to create this way to move forward. So when you look back at your life and you think, well, I really drew the short straw on this. You know, my family doesn't support me. You know, my parents got divorced when I was 5, or my parents should have got divorced because they always fight. Or, you know, we never had much, so we were always out asking other people. I mean, I had relatives like that every year they came over, we donated all of our clothes to them. And they had like 8 children, and of the 8, there's 2 that are so powerful because they flipped the script. They didn't look at themselves like the other 5 as, oh, we're always begging for help, we always have our hand out, we're always looking for somebody to help us. They looked at it from, you know, God put these people in our path to help support me until I got to 18, until I got to 21, until I got to 25, and then I took it from there. So take your story and start working it through. Start thinking, you know, what story do you keep telling yourself? When you go shopping, what do you tell yourself? Do you tell yourself, oh, I can't afford this, we don't have any money? You know, flip your script from the negative to the positive. Tell yourself a positive story. And the more that you flip your script and make your story positive, the more you're going to see the universe is going to start raining positive down on you. So work on recreating, rewriting, reimagining your story. And whatever your go-to story is, whatever your poor, pitiful me story is, which we can talk about tomorrow, that's what you need to flip. That's what you need to change. Because you can only count on yourself to support you. I mean, you have people around you, absolutely, and your fan clubs, but at the end of the day, you're stuck with what goes on in your head. And if you constantly, you know, if I constantly churned and burned on being a victim and, oh my gosh, my childhood, I was always a victim, always a victim, and always a victim, and always a victim, then I would always be a victim. But instead, I chose to use that as the fuel to propel me forward and to reframe it so I'm not a victim, that I chose my past, I chose those situations to make me the person I am today so I can help people with their past, help people figure out how to reframe the way they think, to reimagine their stories. I hope this helped you guys. If you have any questions, let me know. You can put comments below. If you're on my YouTube channel, please give me a subscribe. I'm trying to build that puppy. Have a great day. It's December 2nd, I think, and happy holidays. Bye-bye.